Thanks everyone for attending. So yeah, we'll be talking a bit about interactive training using web audio. So I'm Fabrice Dos Santos, thanks. And I'm a web engineering manager at Slate Digital. And I'll be presenting the talk with
Charle and Queffelec. I'm a senior UX designer.
Okay, so well, let's get started. So a training prototype with web audio. So today I'll be talking a bit about, this is a double challenge because it's a sponsored talk, so it's going to be a quick one. And it's a lunch talk. For French people, it's hard to talk when we are hungry, so we'll take the challenge, no problem. Slate Digital company, a bit of history of what we do. How we get to explore web audio capabilities, because something we wanted to dig into. And we'll show a bit of that your training prototype we did with some UX work from Charlie. Okay, so the company, what we do in Slate Digital is mainly doing plugins. This is the core business. So we were successful at releasing analog emulation. That's where the company got famous. No, so far. With plugins like virtual tape machine, virtual mix rack, where you can load some modules in it. Reproduction of the LA2A, like the FG2A, the FG Stress. Well, so many more plugins, like 40 plugins. Who knows Slate Digital, by the way? Oh, okay, that's good. And we do some more modern creative plugins, like the Infinity EQ MOTT, named after Ableton's OTT. Which was an EDM plugin. Fresh Air, Exciter, an Auto-Tune. Well, I won't go over all the plugins. And we have a web, a SaaS, well, they like to call the SaaS team. It's software as a service. So it's the team I'm managing. We are handling the web shop, some tutorials online, and we are pushing for more online services as a complementary activity to the plugins activity. But I'll talk about this later on. Bit of history. So the company was co-founded by Fabrice Gabriel and Steven Slate back in 2008. I'll give a few important dates, like the FGX first plugin. It was released in 2010. That might need an update soon. The virtual mix rack release in 2014, we got really good reviews from audio professionals. 2015 is quite important because that's where we launched the All Access Pass subscription model. I think it was one of the first companies to do that. So basically for $10 a month, you've got access to all the plugins and the online services. And in 2022, well, like 2 months ago maybe, we joined the Audiotonics family. I'll talk about it later. So teams, we've got teams in Los Angeles, marketing, media, content support. We've got teams in France, Grenoble, if some may know this town somewhere. We've got all the R&D, DSP, C++, web team, the UX, stats, and a bit of England now with Audiotonics, which is our holding group. So, just a quick word about Audiotonics since we joined like 1 month ago. We are kind of the, maybe not the only, but the company that does software. Audiotonics has a lot of really pro audio industry companies. Well, I guess you know all those names: Alan East, CarRec, Digico, DigiGrid, Solid Stage Logic, Sound Devices, mostly mixing console and hardware. So yeah, we are really happy to be part of this family, and I wasn't paid to say this, so I wish I was. So well, yeah, just a quick focus on, because it's important to get the context. We have a dedicated web team at Slate Digital, which I'm managing, with the web shop, the samples delivery. We've got online courses called Slate Academy. Desktop app, which is running on Chromium to install and update the plugins. And we've got more services to come, but that's top secret, so can't really talk about it. But it's going to be fun. And so basically what we're trying to do with the plugins and the services is kind of building that ecosystem where people would be able to create with samples, plugins, record with, we've got one microphone with emulations, all the plugins, maybe distribute, master, and learn. And I'm just going to focus on the learning part of the donut, which is pretty nice. So the learning tutorials are called Slate Academy, and we've got a course about ear training. So that's where it all started. So I'm going to talk about this later. And so how it started, because it's important to get how we got there, how we got that idea of interactive ear training. So we had a course online called the Ear Training Crash Course. It was great, but it was a bit static, so I'm just going to show you. So
is being soloed.
So here you see that we are trying to do some interaction with the user, but he has to listen to the sound, guess that this is a switch on and off, an EQ bypass. And then he has to wait, and he has to wait till the end of that little progress bar here to get the final answer. And the aim was to find the soloed frequency. So it was high mids, whatever. What I'm trying to explain is that call, the idea was great, but the interaction wasn't there, so we had to figure out something. So back to my presentation. Yes, so that was the first assumption, ear training crash course with lack of interactivity. The second thing is that we were starting to explore web audio capabilities when I started with the company 2 years ago, because it was really, well, loads of promises, so we wanted to explore that. And we wanted to bring some interaction, some UX work. In the web, we've got a lot of UX design and make the most of the web app dynamic advantages. So first, we used the audio API. So I won't do technical talk about web audio. There's loads of resources around there that I copied in my last slide. So it's basically a way to control audio over the web. So it's the quickest definition ever. So just a reminder, because I had a talk with one of my DSP engineer, and it was not really clear front-end, back-end, so I'm just doing a quick reminder for people that are not web. Web audio happens on the browser, on the client side. We only used native web audio technology, so we had no backend when doing that interactive training. And basically, front-end is what you see, the user interface, the UX design, CSS, JavaScript, HTML. And the backend is, well, like the dark side of the moon. So what you don't see is the logic, the processes, databases, algorithm, bearded nerds, whatever. Yeah, web audio that I'm going to show here is only happening on the front end. So let's see that prototype. So that the first thing we did, well, I like this quote. I just thought I could make it and put it there. The first thing we did, so to explore the web audio capabilities, was to build that equalizer only using web audio API and Canvas API, which is a JavaScript API to build graphics. So how it works? Well, I can play a sound. And I can just, well, play on the frequency gain, sorry, not gain. I can bypass the EQ and turn it back, and, well, all sort of things. So we were just trying to explore if the native web audio stuff would be sufficient for our training app, and it's clearly it was. So we thought first that we needed to make some WebAssembly and stuff, but in the end, it was fine with that. And then you've got a lot of other low pass, bypass, well, classic EQU stuff. So that was the first prototype. So just a bit of technique. So I was talking about two technologies we were using, Web Audio and Canvas API for the graphics. So Web Audio, quick definition, so just to get the context, is you basically have an audio context, which is like a recording studio, and you've got a first audio source node with multiple inputs and multiple outputs. And what you're going to do is wire all those audio nodes together, like pedal effects for your guitar, and plug them to the amplifier, which is the output. So it's really a question of audio graph and wiring all these elements together. So you declare the audio context, then you create the nodes, like an oscillator node, for example, using the native methods, create an oscillator. You create a gain node, and you're going to connect them with the .connect stuff and wire all these elements together until the final destination, which is your audio listener, which is an audio node with only inputs but no output because it is the output, so it can't have any other output. And then you can set the values, square type for your oscillator, frequency value, gain values. Well, so it's fairly simple. Well, it can be more complex, but we used a fairly simple approach. And Canvas API, I'll be very quick on this. It's a way to draw graphics using JavaScript, so by drawing rectangles and funny figures like this. It's pretty strong. You can do a lot with it. It takes some time to approach, but it's really powerful. So that's how we build the equalizer using the Canvas API. So yeah, I've got loads of quotes. This one is from someone called Steve something. You have to start with the customer experience and work. I keep it secret. You have to start with the customer experience and walk backwards to the technology, because sometimes you have this AQ, but well, having a great app without thinking about UX is, well, it's a waste of time. So that's where we bring the UX in the game, and the UX in the game is Charlene, so I'll let you talk.
Okay, let me show that you working with UX is easy to assemble the furniture IKEA with the guide. So why do you need a UX designer in the first place? Well, just to make your life easy. What is the goal? We want to resolve user pain point and give them intuitive experiences. Yeah. Sorry, it's my first. Okay. Okay. This is a good experience to. This is a good experience. No, it's not. This is a good example to demonstrate the UX designer, importance of UX designer. Okay. Do you remember the bottle? You know, the bad experience of the brewing ketchup with the glass bottle. Nice bottle, but no easy to use. You. In interface without UX, it's the same thing. You have a pretty or technical interface, but not intuitive. In conclusion, product user with interaction and plus interaction and gamification equal immersion good. To the end, your goal is to improve user immersion and engaging using interaction in gamification. Mechanisms like reward, level, scoring progression badge, and the feeling of accomplishment. We want to simulate the user. Okay. We need to
show the
volunteer.
No, we'll show
No?
the app and maybe we play with some volunteers. Yeah, it's important to insist on this, as you said. Yeah. It's not that we are trying to turn this into a game, but we use game mechanism, like, well, as you said, rewards and stuff. We're going to show you so the app, how it works. It's still a prototype, so don't expect something like crazy stuff, but it's still quite interesting. So, no Google, I'm fine with you. The training. So we've got a set of lessons which are a bit more complex as you go down the layer. So the first one is basically like the training crash course, but it's going a bit further. And we are trying to learn people how to use EQs, how to solo or cut frequencies. Hey. So yeah, we are giving some instructions on how to play the game. Well, we called it a game, so maybe. And for each question, you need to listen to the sample, switch the EQ on and off, and here's the effect it has on the sound. And finally select the answer. And try to get the score, the best score you can. So, yeah. So it's the same as the video, but here I can interact with the UI. I can turn the EQ on and off, and the aim is just to find which of the following frequency has been soloed by the EQ. So I don't know if someone wants to make a guess, maybe? High mid? High or high mid? There's more high mid, sorry. Direct. So yeah, maybe next year instead of the quiz, we can do a training dance. Yeah. So yeah, this is the first lesson, which is quite easy. And it gets more complex as you go along the way. So yeah, I already know the rules. So here you need to find if it has either been soloed or cut. So well, let's try it out. Yeah, I'm getting old, so I'm really bad at this game. So what'd you say? Low mid's cut or soloed? Wow. Yeah, right. Well done. Really well done. So yeah, and then we've got, there's something I want to show you before. These are much complex lessons. Here, as you see, we've built a spectrum with the Canvas API, and it's getting really much more precise. So we need to listen. Oh, I'm really bad sometimes. And so here, yeah, don't make fun of me, please. I'm working in audio, so sorry. So yeah, here the closest you get to the answer, the more points you get, and you need to get feedback to the customers, as we said, feedbacks. Yeah, user. Sorry. Yeah, to have a feeling of accomplishment, so that he gets where he needs to go. And the latest lessons we have is the same, but you need to find if it's either soloed or cut, and it's really precise. So what'd you say? Whoa, man. So yeah, you can do some. Okay, I hope you work in audio. So yeah, well done. So yeah, it's so that's the prototype. As you see, we will try to get a little bit further in the future. And there's one last thing I wanted to show you. Got 2 minutes. Yeah. So I need to restart this. There is an extension on Chrome which is called Audion, which was I guess made by people from Google. It's basically you've got a web audio menu here, and you can see the audio graph because, as I said, everything is about building a routing graph from the audio source to the audio output. So it's well, it's not so easy when you have loads of nodes, but it just gives you the idea of what nodes you're creating. And when I'm bypassing the audio, you see that the graph, the routing graph changes. So the bypass is pretty easy. It's just you're changing the routing graph. So that's just something I wanted to show you. So I guess we're nailed it in the end. Yeah, with the technical stuff. So that's fine. Yeah, slideshow. We did that. So coming next, we might try to get some WebAssembly custom processing ported to the browser. But for now, as I said, we didn't need it. And we need to add more interaction, work more with Charlene for the UX part, and add low-pass filter, high-pass filter lessons, and maybe try to get that prototype EQ to teach people how to use an EQ, because that's kind of the first thing you want to do when you're mixing and producing. So yeah, just a quick takeaway. It was great for us to explore web audio because there's a lot to do. You can do simple apps, really powerful, but that needs some UX work. It's really important that you get UX at the beginning of your projects. So the gamification process is also really interesting. There are loads of articles around this. It's really powerful. All these things about level scoring and stuff. It's really great. Keep it simple. We tend to over-engineer stuff as web developers. We are saying like, well, we need to put some WebAssembly, and well, no, just calm down. Maybe just using native stuff, we can do some great things. Be user-centric, not customer-centric. Get feedback, iterate, get feedback, iterate. Well, that's easy with web apps. It's a bit more complex with plugins, so I know that. Well, have fun, or at least try to have fun. We had fun. You had fun? Yeah, okay. So, well, thanks a lot. There are a few resources around here. There is a Web Audio Slack channel. It's really it's really great because the people are really active and reactive. There's some resources about the Web Audio API, and you can get in touch with us if you want. And I don't know if we have time for questions, but if you've got questions, there is the Discord channel, and you can just come to the Audiotonics booth, and we can have a drink or a chat.
Thank you, Fabrice and Charlene.
Yes, sorry.